Fife, Caroll 5, District Council 2? 3. Okay. You made headlines recently being accused of being a racist.
Yeah, I did.
Would you like to talk to the people about what happened, or essentially even give a message or a statement? Anything you'd like to say?
I think the people who are making those statements don't understand the definition of racism. And my whole career has been to lift up solidarity across race, across gender, across class, and to work and fight for all oppressed people. And the folks who are using it as a tool. They're spinning a narrative out of one that they think they can get more attention for. But the reality is, I have and I will continue to fight for all oppressed people, wherever they are. And, I was responding to the statement that the council doesn't support black landlords and the council doesn't support immigrants. And I was saying, if folks want to fight banks, let's go. That's where the issue is. Capitalism, if folks want to address capitalism and the petty bourgeoisie, let's do that. But, haters gonna hate.
Right. So are the people calling you racist known for calling anyone else racist?
No.
So these are people who never point out racism at any time, and they're pointing it out to you?
Correct.
Okay.
And they're also using racist terminology, sexist terminology to call out my so-called racism. So it's all hypocrisy, and they're using a very patriarchal way to speak for the Asian community. And I'm a part of a radical tradition of Asian folks fighting with black folks for power, and that's who I listen to, and that's who I will continue to work with and organize with, because everything else is a distraction.
Right. Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to get this out today. All right.
And safe from displacement. In 1989, James Van co-founded the Oakland Tenants Union to protect and expand tenants' rights. Throughout the 1990s, James Van and the Oakland Tenants Union tried to persuade the Oakland City Council to adopt some form of eviction protections for Oakland tenants. When council failed to do so, he helped create the Just Cause Coalition, who gathered enough signatures to put the Just Cause for Eviction ordinance on the ballot. It was adopted by the voters in November 2002 and has protected untold thousands of tenants from unjust evictions over the last 20 years. As a leader in the tenants' rights movement, James Van has been actively involved in developing and advancing virtually every new tenant protection adopted by the City Council over the last 3 decades, including the Tenant Protection Ordinance, the Uniform Relocation Ordinance, Ellis Act protections, the Condominium Conversion Ordinance, and the Rent Registry Ordinance. He fought for critical amendments to the Rent Adjustment Ordinance, including eliminating rent increases based on debt services, limiting increases based on capital improvements, eliminating the substantial rehabilitation exemption, expanding rent control to tenants living in owner-occupied duplexes and triplexes, capping rent increases at 5% plus the CPI adjustment, and capping the CPI adjustment at 3%. In addition, he never stopped pushing for stronger eviction control, working on 3 campaigns to expand the scope of the Just Cause for Eviction ordinance. First to tenants living in properties built between 1983 and 1996, then to those residing in owner-occupied duplexes and triplexes, and finally to all tenants in units more than 10 years old, and to those living in vehicular residential facilities.
The mic. I'll turn it over first to Dr. Mayfield.
Thank you, President Bass. It's my distinct honor to present you with this mayor's proclamation. Whereas James Van's work on tenants' rights issues, including eviction, protections, rent control, tenant harassment, and relocation benefits, has helped to establish Oakland as a leader among California cities with some of the strongest tenant protections in the state. And whereas James Van has provided individual counseling to thousands of tenants about their rights and has represented hundreds of tenants at administrative hearings before the rent program and at appeal hearings before the rent board. Therefore, be it resolved that Mayor Shane Taft, as well as City Attorney Barbara Parker, the City Council, and the entire City of Oakland honor and express our deep gratitude for James Van's more than 35 years of tenacious and effective advocacy on behalf of tenants, and proclaim April 18, 2023 James Van Day.
Hey.
Also to have your thought partnership. I am very committed, as you are, to affordable housing, to housing stability. And James, you have been nothing but a great thought partner with me as I've been working to represent you and other Oaklanders to ensure that housing is a human right as we create more affordable housing and work to protect tenants and others here in Oakland. So thank you very much. There's a few more who were part of this resolution who will say a few words as well.
I'll never forget, in OJC, it was almost 10 years ago now, where we were sitting and working on creating some policy at the time, and James Van rattled off the municipal code like nobody's business. So I just want to say really briefly that it is an honor to know you. You lead with your heart and the policy follows, and I am looking forward to the next wave of what we got to do together because we need to clone you. And I appreciate your leadership in the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, James Van, for not only the incredible work you've done, which has already been outlined, but for the heart and the commitment and the interpersonal presence that you bring to that work and the coalitions that you help build by so doing. And it is true when we talk about the history here that there was a proposal that had come to council in 2002 before we did this signature gathering campaign. And Nancy Nadell supported it. And Nancy Nadell, yes, supported it, but not enough votes on council to pass it. And so the community, with your leadership, in collaboration, gathered those signatures. And that was an amazing accomplishment and really shows what People United can do. So thank you for that. Thank you, Jimmy.
Well, it's an understatement to say that I'm overwhelmed and speechless. I really can't appropriately express my appreciation for this great honor and for all the work that's been done by you, President Bass, the City Council, the Mayor, and all of the city. And I just want to say also that no one person can do much of anything. Standing around next to me are many other people who are with the Oakland Tenants Union and other organizations in Oakland who do a tremendous job of advancing the work of affordable housing and tenant protections. So really, and the Tenants Union is in good hands, I'm glad to say, with brilliant young people with lots of energy and ideas, and so I feel comfortable about that. I would like to say just two other things. One, I'd like to uplift one of my other organizations, the Coalition of Advocates for Lake Merritt. Some of those members are here today. This is a plan that the Coalition of Advocates presented to the City Council in 2001 to create what is now Lake Merritt Boulevard and the Lake Merritt Amphitheater. COM designed and presented that plan to the City Council, and they adopted it. I have passed out a sheet that explains the development. I've passed out a sheet that explains the development of Lake Merritt Boulevard to the council members, and I hope that you will have time to read it and understand and appreciate the work that was done there.
Amen.
The final thing I would like to just say is I'd like to read a short poem that I heard at an event at St. Mary's Center. And right now, much of my time is spent with the Homeless Advocacy Working Group. And when I heard this poem, it brought tears to my eyes, really affected me. And I'd like to share it with you.
Please.
Not true. And it is by Anonymous. We don't know the author. Not true that I am invisible, that I disappear to thin air when you take my blankets, my food, and everything I own. Not true that I don't want to come inside. If inside wanted me, I would go. Offer me more than what I have. Offer me dignified housing. Offer me a home without an end date. A home that does not take every dollar I have, and I will go. Not true that I want to live in squalor, that I want to live without water or bathroom, without hot food, without safety, in fear and uncertainty. Not true that I steal profits from businesses and property values from owners. Not true that I want charity, more than the right to live free from harassment, from judgment, from shame. What's true is that some cannot see me as their neighbor, their friend, valuable, capable, worthy of existing by them. More true is that some, maybe even you, cannot see me at all. Thank you.
Let's just do one.
It's the mob.
Man, do me a favor. I understand it's your freedom of right, but come on, man. De-escalated color.
All right.
This is what it's going to be. This is where everybody wants to come up with a problem.
I'm not going to say anything to him. I promise.
Make sure they're prominently displayed. Why did you move them? Why did you move them?
Yeah, that's. But he's an hour and 20 minutes late. He shouldn't have the table. Hour and 20 minutes late. He disgraced his own cause. He has to go home or sit down. He don't get no table. Good. We good, good.
I don't tolerate him. I don't tolerate that.
We good, we good.
I don't tolerate that.
I don't tolerate black men. That's my pet peeve. Black men that go against their own people. That's my pet peeve.
Chill out.
Like Herschel Walker, like Clarence Judge Thomas, like all those guys. I hate those guys.
I know, I got the video.
Fall down the stairs. I wish you fell down the stairs. I wish you fall down the stairs.
All right, he's working on getting kicked out. Go ahead. Let's both go in.
I hate him.
Fuck it.
I hate him.
Yeah,
Gets his own people.
I got it on camera. I'll put it out. Promise.
Okay, I'll come in with you.
The Dan Noyes I-Team has had several stories over the weekend after Pam Price. I've watched numerous news channels.
Excuse me, Mr. Parker, do you
going
mind
after
letting us know which items you're speaking to, please?
I'm speaking to all the items. Matt Flynn was a union rep.
I have to be fair with everyone. The process is you sign up for certain items and you speak to them, so please let me know which items you are speaking
I'm speaking to whatever number 6 was. Matt Flynn was a union representative for the DA's office, and he was also on the news channel trying to down Pam Price. We have a gentleman by the name of Mr. Bob Yee, which put on organized that demonstration against Pam Price on the stairs of the court building. We have multiple news people, such as Amber Lee, Dow Lynn, Dion Lim. They all have had news stories over the weekend downgrading Pam Price, asking for things like her resignation or for her to resign.
That's right.
But, as you know, folks, very importantly, what I think might have something to do with this, as well as the removal of Chief Armstrong, has anyone saw the story about the New York Police Department, secret police department, the Chinese secret police department, which is also, they have one in San Francisco? Do you think for a second that the Chinese community doesn't know about that? There are 100 of them over the whole world, and they have about 54 in the United States. I think that one of the things that was causing some of this friction with Pam Price and getting the black people out is this Chinese police department. They tell people that they have everyone on surveillance, and they had numerous people on surveillance, and at the same time you wonder why the people in Chinatown wanted cameras, more cameras. They have taken 230,000 people back to China. They get your parents over there and they say, if you don't sign up, they'll take you back. Secret police departments, folks, right here in San Francisco. Do you think none of that has to do with anything with Chief Armstrong and Pam Price? Bob Yee, I would be looking at you as one of those people the FBI should be looking at, Bob Yee, because you organized that. To me, it's like you can't have 2 police departments, so apparently you want to just have your secret Chinese police department. This is going on in the country, folks. You need to really look at this. They have really infiltrated our system. And that's why I believe there's a lot of law enforcement people being pushed out. We had the people that actually initiated that complaint against Chief Armstrong were Chinese people. That's how he got in trouble. I'm thinking that there's something wrong here, something, a bigger picture. That's why I said I was going to talk about Armstrong's dismissal, because I believe there was more to it than just whatever you guys hit the fan. But I'm going to say, folks, here we have a whole bunch of people that got up to the courthouse and asked for the charges, full charges. We had a New York police officer that was involved. They're going to give him 55 years, give him the full charge. Anybody that's involved in these Chinese police department causing Chinese dissidents to be removed and sent back to China, give them their full sentence of 20 to 25 years. Since you're talking about DA and getting stuff done, I think this is the issue. I think we're just hitting the tip of why some of the stuff's going on here in Oakland, and we're losing officers, and we're losing...
Quite ready by 4 p.m. We just want to talk, and now we actually found out, like, with the landlords, how difficult it can be to find out what you need to know just to get things to move. And we've been figuring that out while people have also been trying to throw us out back onto the street. We'll give you a proposal of something that will be cheap and effective. Or maybe I should say inexpensive, not cheap. Because it'll be rooted in a deep understanding of each other. Real care. And that's all I really have to say. I'll see you next week.
Hey, Wood Street.
In the last meeting, and I just wanted to provide a little context to what has been so blown out of proportion. But I want to tell a little history first. 105 years ago, a woman named Mary Turner was grieving the extrajudicial killing of her husband, who was lynched for a crime he didn't commit. So she was immediately made a widow. And beset with grief, she sought support from the courts to punish his killers. And due to that threat of going to the courts, something happened to Mary Turner. The next day, after conversations about bringing her killers to justice, her husband's killers to justice, Mary Turner was dead. Her naked body burned, pierced by hundreds of bullets, hung from a tree by Folsom's Bridge, 16 miles north of Valdosta, Georgia. Her abdomen had been cut open. Her baby, a month shy, being born, lay on the ground dead, its skull crushed by a member of a lynch mob who stomped on its skull. When the Valdosta Times newspaper, a white-owned newspaper, described the reason for her death, it said that her talk enraged the locals. The people, in their indignant mood, took exceptions to her remarks, her words, and her attitude. What the newspaper didn't report, what they omitted, and what they failed to mention was that she was 8 months pregnant and her child was cut from her. I bring this up because this is the remnant of slavery. And so when these images that are connected to the past but are very much a part of our future, not our future, but our present, because slavery is still legal in the case of the convicted felon in this country. Slavery is still legal in the California Constitution. We had the opportunity to repeal slavery with ACA 3, with organizations like All of Us or None, and California could not find the will to do it. So when I hear individuals talk about slavery in such a casual way, then I get triggered. I was triggered by the use of such terminology for people saying that they are being treated like slaves. 3 years of not receiving rent is akin to over 400 years of state-sanctioned violence. I do not accept it. I will not accept it. I do.
Be quiet, she's talking.
Every single comment that is
sit down
by every speaker in this chamber, for every individual that has a testimony, I listen. And I want to make it clear that for Black landlords, Black people in real estate, often it is an opportunity for Black people to get out of the pitfalls that are created to keep us enslaved.
That's right.
So Black folks go into real estate and becoming landlords to try to avoid getting caught up in a system that is intended to incarcerate.
You're not
so I want to be clear. My words have been taken out of context. And I deeply, deeply regret any individual
be quiet
who heard my words and misunderstood my heart. But I want to be respected because our pain should not be so cheap. Our trauma and history should not be so cheap. And so once again, I want to, in the same way.
Hey, you're not a slave. You'll never be a slave. You're not a slave. You're not a slave. You're not a slave.
You are the slave.
Oh, I'm a slave?
You are the slave.
Oh, I'm Black. I'm Afro-Latino.
I'm Chinese.
You called me a slave. You called me a slave. She called me a slave. Get her out of here. She called me a slave.
And unity now more than ever. Solidarity and unity.
You're a racist.
And I come from a political tradition.
You're a racist.
That serves all people. In the radical tradition of Yuri Kochiyama, in the radical tradition of Fred Hampton, Chairman Fred Hampton, Sr. of the Black Panther Party, in the radical tradition of Grace Lee Boggs, I stand in solidarity with all oppressed people everywhere around the world. And I want you all to understand that I listen to every testimony on this dais. We need solidarity more than ever. We need solidarity more than ever. Solidarity today, solidarity tomorrow, solidarity forever. We will listen. We will listen. And that is what we are here to do today, to work out a responsible ramp down in a way that works best for our city.
Did you call me a slave?
And I appreciate everyone who understands that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Right. That's right.
Thank you, Councilmember Fife. Thank you, everyone, for getting back into your seats. I do think it was important.